The floor is yours. If you just hit the button, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Well, good evening, Mr. President, my esteemed colleagues of the Maryland State Senate, and all of our guests. It is truly an honor to speak before you, all regarding America's greatest men and leaders of character. It is on this day we celebrate the 215th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. Oh, by the way, did I mention that this man was also inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in 1992? Yes, President Lincoln is said to have won 299 of 300 wrestling matches and was quite the smack talker during him so no wonder we won the war. On November 6, 1860, one of the greatest men of American history was elected to govern and lead the United States of America as its 16th president. This man was kept off the ballot in 10 states, smeared in the newspapers across the country for his stance on slavery, and yet persevered to lead this nation during its greatest crisis, the American Civil War. Before he took office, South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas had already seceded from the Union and had created the Confederate States of America. Character is what determined his drive to preserve this nation that his hero, President George Washington, had so passionately fought for 86 years before. President Lincoln called up the volunteers to ensure that the Union would be maintained. Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina would succeed. Following this, even Missouri and Kentucky would be represented on the flag of the Confederacy. But he would continue to fight for the Union. Worries of Maryland and Delaware succeeding were quickly quelled by the loyal Unionists to preserve these United States. Our Marylanders would provide roughly 60,000 loyal blue-clad soldiers to fight for the end of slavery and against treason. While our old line state would find itself brother against brother, it would nevertheless be proud Union state throughout the war. In face of violence across the Potomac River, uneasiness in Maryland, the constant berating in the press, President Lincoln's character never took the easy way out. He instead walked in the valley of darkness with the sword of truth in one hand, and in the other, the shield of the red, white, and blue. Throughout the start of the war, his goal was primarily to preserve the Union. He realized that the Union would not be sustainable if slavery did not end. His work with Marylander Frederick Douglass shows that his commitment to the true belief that all men are created equal. As Mr. Douglass said, speaking of President Lincoln, in his company, I was never reminded of my humble origin or my unpopular color. For it was Lincoln's character that offered support and encouragement to his subordinates. You see, leaders of character keep the lines of communication open so that subordinates feel free to share the ideals and concerns, displaying an individualized consideration. Now, Lincoln did maintain a close relationship with his Northern soldiers and understood that their hearts and minds of the men in their ranks. When visiting the battlefields, he made a point to have a small but meaningful conversation with the soldiers. He had hosted numerous soldiers at the White House, and he always treated the men with respect, courtesy, regardless of rank. You see, Lincoln patiently received the soldiers at the White House, listening to each and every request, attempting to solve each problem, no matter how insignificant it was. When visiting soldiers at the hospital, he showed a genuine concern for their injuries. Lincoln treated others as individuals rather than just a member of a group. He understood that individuals have different needs, abilities, and aspirations. Now, a popular phrase about testing a man's character has been misattributed to the 16th President of the United States. It is allegedly, he had said, nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. He never said that. However, a testament to his character, Honest Abe did say, character is like a tree, and reputation like its shadow. The shadow is what we think of it, but the tree is the real thing. As such, we should never perceive each other by our outside appearances. Rather, but focus upon each other's character. We are all God's children, proud Marylanders. As legislators, may we follow in President Lincoln's footsteps in leading courageously, honorably, and morally forever and ever. Now, it would be fitting to end this speech honoring the 1992 National Wrestling Hall of Fame inductee, President Abraham Lincoln, with a wrestling quote about character. Success in wrestling is not determined by the number of wins, but by the number of times you get back up after being knocked down. May God bless each and every one of you, your character, as you stand as members of the State Senate. Thank you for this opportunity.
Well said. Well done. Chair recognizes the Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move that the Senate of Maryland journalize the outstanding remarks of the gentleman from District 1. Thank you.
Without objection, most certainly we will journalize the wonderful remarks. I had no idea about the wrestling. I can't believe I'd never heard that before. That is fascinating. Nice little nugget of truth right there. That's great. Thank you, sir. That was well done, well presented. Excellent, excellent, excellent.